This video is about 3 tips which I wish I knew in my first couple years trading. Been trading for over 5 years now, consistently profitable, which is a nice feeling. However, those first couple years could have been expedited, as everyone says. But I'm going to share my experience and 3 tips that you could take away. So first one for me was the watch list. That watch list on TradingView, I'm sure everyone's played around with what they look at, different indexes, different currencies, maybe futures, for example. For me, I used to trade with over 20 at one time, and I was trading trend lines and I was trading on the 4-hour. But it's too much. Your brain can't process and analyze all of that information and all these different pairs every single day. It was too much. Analyst paralysis. It was information overload. Make sure you have one pair to start with, whether it's futures, currencies, commodities, whatever it may be. Just choose one and stick with that for a good period of time. I'd say 2 to 3 months. See how you perform on that pair. Learn the way that pair behaves, because every pair behaves differently. And the more you look at and analyze a pair, the more you understand what I'm saying. So pick one. And to be honest with you, if you're trading currencies, Euro USD is probably the best one to begin with because it's so slow moving, methodical, and very easy to understand. And of course, it involves USD, which is the world reserve currency. So that, in my opinion, is number one. Once you get that first pair under your belt, maybe move to number 2, maybe 3. But even 3 is a push for me personally, and I've found my mojo, as you say, with 2. So 2 for me is the best. Second one for me is pick a session. If you're just beginning and you're trying to trade all the sessions that there is possible, you're gonna be, again, going back to point 1, information overload, analyst paralysis. Stick with one session and master that pair that you've got. There's no point trading the whole day when you're probably working a job or maybe 2 and you don't really have the time. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to succeed when you haven't even hit profitability yet. So for me, making sure that you choose that one session, I recommend New York if you can, because it's the most volume heavy session. Asian I usually avoid, and London hit and miss sometimes, if I'm honest. But make sure whatever session you do choose, you choose a session that involves your currency pair if you're trading currencies or commodity. For example, there's no point trading Asian, in my opinion, if you don't have an Asian currency in the mix. So if I'm trading Asian, I should be trading pairs like Japanese yen with the pound, for example. Or if I'm trading London, I need to have euro or pound in that mix, or Swiss franc. So you get the point, but stick with one. I recommend New York. Thirdly, I recommend risk management wise, just stick with a lower percentage of account risk to begin with. So for example, if you're just starting off, I don't believe you should be trading live anyways. Try a demo. Then if you want to get into prop firms, etc., go for it. That's a whole nother conversation on another topic. But for now, stick with a low percentage. There's no point risking 1, 2, 3%. And even then, I don't recommend ever risking more than 2% on a trade, if I'm honest. But to begin with, why not risk 0.25? You get given more bullets in your chamber if you risk less, because your percentage overall is dropping every time you lose by 0.25, for example, rather than 1%. And it's a big difference, especially if you are trading prop firms where you have a 5% limit per day, or you have 10% overall, 8% overall. But the point is, while you're learning and while you're understanding the pair that we just talked about and understanding the sessions that you want to trade and your schedule, just stick with a low percentage, because until you get that consistency in your plan and while you're building your plan, it's all about trial and error. You want to fail, because the more you fail, the more you can review your journal and see, okay, where have I gone wrong? That's where I've gone wrong. That's where I've gone wrong. Let's tweak that, and then go again. If you have a high percentage, the more mistakes you make, the bigger the deficit you're in. Whereas if you're using 0.25 and you're still learning, it's still a win-win. You're risking a little bit of money. You're feeling that bit of emotion rising when you place a trade and money's on the line, but you're not losing too much where your account's at risk. So I think to begin with, slowly scale up from 0.25 to then 0.5, then 1, then however you want to scale up, but start low, scale higher. These 3 tips are something that I still use today. So hopefully you've taken a tip or 2 from here, and we'll see you next one.